Nunu taken away from Harry Abs. Thresh, just in general, probably away from Biofrost. It is his best champion. And then that Riven ban. I imagine that's a specific target ban. And then also Orianna. Interesting choice to ban the Orianna in this matchup. Do you think that's a Golden Glue targeted ban?
Well, Golden Glue definitely picked it up in game number 2 for Cutie Spy's team yesterday, and he seemed to be a lot more comfortable on it than he was with his Syndra pickup, or at least the team play aspect of Orianna suited him a little bit better as a mid laner. But by banning out that Orianna, they left open the king of 420 this patch, and that's Warwick.
Yeah, and we actually didn't see Warwick picked or banned in the last game, which was really, really odd. But, seeing a Swift pickup here making a lot of sense. And, of course, that Janna pickup on the opposite side, probably a logical choice. She is considered the best support in the meta right now, has that excellent shield and excellent disengage potential. Pretty good at stopping a Warwick, I'd say. And then combined with that Lucian lane, that AD on the shield gives Lucian excellent poke in the early game.
Lucian definitely a priority pick for all these AD carries so far in the tournament, as that one's going to go over to Fabi this time around. Just played the opposite end of the Corki Lucian matchup. Did pretty good on Corki, so now it's his time to take Lucian for a spin. And Janna, believe it was banned out last game, but it was picked almost every single game in the OMEN Encounter last night, and it proved to be, I believe it was on the winning side almost every single game as well, so still a very popular choice in the support department. We'll have to see what she's going up against, though, as now, like we said before, Fabi was on the Corki of the side of the matchup last game. This time he's the Lucian going up against the Corki bottom lane.
Yeah, and I found it odd that they didn't ban Lee Sin against Blem, such an accomplished Lee Sin player in solo queue, but it does make sense when you think about the fact that Harry Abs is most likely the jungler, as Blem did pay support last night. Still a risky decision coming out from Nightblu's team when you have playing against such a competent Lee Sin. We do see that Mundo being hovered on is a pretty safe pick for the top lane, doesn't really have any bad matchups, and is pretty solid at just surviving no matter what he plays against.
Yeah, actually very interested to see where Lee Sin's going to go here. I mean, I'm just...
Never mind, no Mundo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Mundo's not going to get picked up right here, and I'm still flabbergasted by the fact that they have Warwick, and they have Lee Sin, and they have Blem, and Harry Abs. So it's like, it's a big question mark as to who gets Lee Sin, and is that support Lee Sin, and what is Blem going to do? But I'm going to get over that one because this time around, Nightblu's going to be picking up Pantheon, and it was left open last game. It was banned against them all yesterday and then left open with Trick2G's. The game just played against Trick2G's team, and they didn't pick it. But that's something that he's definitely ground his way up to the challenger tier rankings with, and I'm surprised that they kind of let it through this game.
I mean, I think they would have ideally picked Lee Sin again, but giving him Pantheon does make a lot of sense when you look at all the other potentially powerful junglers at this point in the game. I mean, we've got that Nunu, there's got that Warwick, and more than anything, I'm just surprised that the Warwick got through. And it looks like we do have someone leaving the lobby, probably because Blem doesn't have the biggest roster of champions, so they probably had to pick their last. They're going to pick their last champion in chat, I do believe, before we jump back into this. Azir and Maokai are the last two picks. So really interesting team comp. We're going to pick again and speed through this pick band selection. Now that we know what everything is, I'm curious to see where they're going to put this Azir and Maokai.
Yeah, me too, because they have Warwick, Lee Sin, Azir, Maokai, and Corki as their team composition.
This is a cutie pie team if I've ever seen one, though. Let's be real.
I do not know where all these champions are going to go, but I don't think there's ever... I'm pretty sure they were just Blem plays Lee Sin, and these champions sound really strong right now. Let's just pick all of these. This is what it sounds like. Maokai, we saw he's been a stable top laner for the longest time, did fairly well for Moonway, who was playing top lane last game for Nightblu's team. The Warwick pickup, obviously on patch 420, very, very good pickup for that one. In the jungle, if it's wherever it's going to go, he's just a very strong champion right now. We have the Azir, who we haven't seen in a competitive environment for a very long time, but that champion, he's like a Zed. He's like an AP Zed. He has so much outplay potential. It's like a big highlight kind of focused champion.
Yeah, and look at all the team fight control they have coming out from this team on Cutie Pie's side. You've got the Warwick for the ult for the engage. You've got Maokai for the engage in the tank. I mean, I'm excited to see how this Azir plays out. I, for one, haven't seen an Azir in any kind of competitive match, so this is going to be really exciting, and especially against a Syndra in the mid lane. Moonway obviously probably has more experience than Golden Glue on Syndra than Golden Glue does on Azir, so this might be a matchup a little bit skewed in the favor, but we do see that Lee Sin support, and this is kind of the hype. I'm a cutie pie on Corki with that Lee Sin support from Blem in the bot lane against a much more traditional lane from the Night Blue side of Lucian and Janna.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Blem was practicing support Riven with Cutie Pie earlier in the week. He's busting out his Lee Sin and he's playing it in the support role. They have the Warwick in the jungle. It's gonna be a really interesting game from the side of Cutie Pie's team. I'm not exactly sure what their team composition is supposed to do besides kill people and hope to win the game. But on Night Blue side, they brought in Grigney, by the way, to play top lane here. Moonway is going to be moving back towards the mid lane. And then they had Braille, who was playing mid lane last game, who I'm either assuming that Nightblue had to sub out or unfortunately he had to go. So thankfully they've all picked substitutes so that they're able to bring in extra players such as this. And there's also, of course, the whole big pool of undrafted players they're able to select as well. So Grigney going to be playing Dr. Mundo. Pantheon coming out from Nightblue. Syndra in the mid lane is going to be a very powerful AP bursting champion. And then they have the Lucian and the Janna pickup, which is just a very, very solid mid lane at this point in time. Nightblue's team honestly just looks like a lot of very powerful metagame champions right now.
Yeah, and it's going to be really hard to get away from this comp. I mean, just think about a Mundo and a Janna chasing you down. Like, that alone is difficult to get away from, but when you combine it with a Pantheon and a Syndra with those stuns, it's going to be really hard for I'm a Cutie Pie's team. If any of them get caught out, they're pretty much assured to die, and at that point, it's going to be hard for them to have any kind of objective control. But you can see definitely some team fight strength coming out from I'm a Cutie Pie side. We do have the Corki to poke prior, and then we have a lot of hard engage coming in from Blem, Golden Glue, Harry Abs, and Zen the Soul King. All four of those champions very much like to team fight, have very good team fight presence. I'm excited to see this.
The one thing I will say that Cutie Pie's team has a lot of is either pick potential or just the ability to lock people down. You have a Twisted Advance, you have the Infinite Duress, you have, of course, Azir who can wind up putting down one of those soldiers, knocking people up, or just mispositioning people with his ultimate throwing down that wall. And then, of course, well, Lee Sin, we saw the pick potential Nightblue had with him last game in a support role. Might not be nearly as strong as Nightblue's jungle role, but he definitely still has those plays that he's available to make. Knocking in somebody, basically kicking somebody into a Warwick ultimate, kicking somebody into a Twisted Advance, having that one champion blown up on the side of Nightblue's team every single time is going to make this a very uneven fight, which is, I guess, what Cutie Pie's team is really looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to be waiting to load onto Summoner's Rift for the second game of the evening. This is going to be Cutie Pie and the boys on the blue team taking on Nightblue's team over on the red side. Of course, it gives you ample opportunity to check out omen.gg. Big shout outs to HP and Intel for putting on this awesome tournament. You guys can look at the website, vote for your favorite captains. Not only do they get draft order based off of what you guys vote for, but you guys get entered into a raffle to win one of the HP Omen brand new laptops. So, guys, check out the website. Keep the stream locked here, though, because we're going to be back for game number. Summoners and Summonettes, players of all ages, welcome back to Summoner's Rift. The HP OMEN Encounter's second game of the evening is about to get underway. It's Cutie and the boys on the blue side and Nightblue Squadron over on the red side. Optimus, Tom, and Sifa going to bring you the action of this game. And, I mean, with the team compositions we have, especially on Cutie Pie's team, it looks like there's going to be a lot of action in the middle of this game.
I'm ready for so much. I mean, on the one hand, we have Nightblue's team, which is a little bit more conservative, might be looking for picks, not exactly looking for a ton of fights here. We do see them playing really aggressive in this level 1. They might catch out Blem here.
Yeah, Blem taking a lot of damage, has to burn his flash immediately over the Dragon Wall right there. So that's a Summoner spell down, and something that Lee Sin might want to have had in the support role while he's playing in lane. Actually, I don't even know idea what support Lee Sin is supposed to do. I'm assuming a flared flash is a bad thing no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. And it's tough to play Lee Sin support now, especially because he no longer has that attack speed slow, despite the fact that he still has absurdly high base damage potential. We do, however, see him start with a Doran's Blade, so they're obviously they were going to try to make some early game plays in this bot lane, but now the downside is, without that flash, is it going to be, really viable to try to make such aggressive plays?
Well, we're going to have to wind up seeing if it pays off for them. I know that he and Blem, Cutie Pie and Blem, were practicing with the support Riven. Not exactly the same thing with support Lee Sin. Still got the mobility, still got the damage. We'll have to see if it pans out for them, though. But both of these teams, after getting some deep wards down in different places of the jungle, we did see Cutie Pie's team putting some wards over by, it looks like the Krugs on the side of Nightblue Squadron on the top side of the red part of the map, whereas all those wards blowing the flash from Blem in the bottom lane. One of the Tri-Brush just expires, and one over by the red buff area is going to wind up staying alive for just a couple seconds longer. But standard sides for everybody. Jungler's going to wind up getting leashes, although Cutie Pie and Blem started those double Krugs for themselves to get an experience advantage in the bot lane.
Yeah, and this could be huge, especially if they give level 2 to Lee Sin. Blem's got to be hyped for this. This is all on him now to give themselves the laning advantage that they need to pull ahead in this bot lane. Now, it's really risky for them because if they give Janna too much of an advantage, she's always going to be able to disengage that Lee Sin pick. But at this point in the early game, Lee Sin just has too many ways to get on top of you. I mean, he's got the slow, he's got the Q, and he can pretty much follow up on any one of them at this point because he does so much damage with that Doran's Blade start.
He actually is the one that looks like got all the experience from those Krugs. He hit level 2 already, and he's waiting behind the enemy bottom lane here. Fabi gonna go forward to get some damage on the cutie pie. The Tempest and the Cripple come out from the side of Lee Sin. Blem pulling down the Sonic Wave, but no connection means no resonating strike. So a lot of damage put down on the cutie pie. Pops his own health potion, and Blem at the same time too. I guess that little sneaky tactic, they just saw that one coming.
Yeah, it didn't work quite as well. I mean, if he had landed the Q, it would have been way better for them. You would have seen Fabi a much, much lower health percentage, and he would have been able to follow up with a couple extra auto attacks. But when you don't land that Sonic Wave, there's really, like, that's everything in this bot lane. And if he can't land the Sonic Waves, this bot lane's going to go south quickly. Well, we do, however, in the mid lane see a small CS differential, and the same thing in the top lane. Nothing huge to comment on yet, and we see both junglers kind of moving towards the mid lane. We might see Warwick attempt to get control on the bot side, but there's not a whole lot he can do pre-6.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you said the bottom lane was going to go south, and I was like, where else does it go? It's on the bottom side of the map.
Oh my...
It's cardinal directions.
I'm leaving. We're done. We're done.
Well, Nightblu might have to try to leave Harry Abs' jungle as he looks he's trying to get a large wraparound gank off on Golden Glue, but Harry Abs is right here. Actually, with the red buff walking away from that Raptor, he's going to get stunned down by Nightblu. Warwick in the jungle, a very powerful pickup, but not before he's got any of those on-hit effects in his item pool. So Nightblu easily chunks away half of Warwick's HP there.
Yeah, and that's a fight that can go either way. I mean, Warwick has a lot of sustain options in that early game fight, but Pantheon has so much burst damage. And with that Aegis blocking so many hits in a fight like that, Pantheon surely has the advantage if he's the one to start the fight off.
Well, bottom lane, there are fights going down between Fabi, Biofrost, and imaqtpie getting chunked out. Still has his heal available, but down to a bar and a half of HP. The range of Janna and Lucian and the fact that Blem just really can't provide the same presence in lane that a normal support is going to be able to really means they're at a disadvantage down here, and QtiePie's health bar is showing that one. Nightblu with the wraparound. Are they going to go for a tower dive here? QtiePie winds up burning the flash and the heal, trying to get away from this one. Nightblu gets the block off. The tower shot goes down. First blood does wind up going over to Fabi, but a turnaround kill very quickly from Blem. Meanwhile, in the top lane, there was a bit of a roam from Syndra, Moonway, and Grigney able to take down a kill onto Zen, the solo king, but Harry Abs is showing up now. Warwick with the attack speed buff, trying to get some damage back down onto Lucian and Janna, but they're just going to walk away from that one. 2 kills across the map on Nightblu's side for the price of 1 on QtiePie's team.
Yeah, and despite the fact that, I mean, both Warwick and Lee Sin had red buff there, it's a little bit risky to go in on that fight when you've blown most of your mobility cooldowns and you're just going to be walking at both of those ranged champions. In that top lane, we did see Mundo come out ahead with a kill after an excellent roam from Moonway on Syndra, and that's exactly what Mundo wants in this early matchup. We do see him able to get that Spectre's Cowl early, which is going to be huge in this matchup. It lets him, you know, pretty much trade a lot safer, and he's not going to really have to fear this Maokai pick as much.
Yeah, Maokai does have a lot of upfront damage, especially if he's going to be maxing out Arcane Smash with the magic resistance built in from Dr. Mundo and his inert tankiness. Not necessarily going to be able to shove that Mundo out of lane for a very, very long time. And on top of that one, Zen, the solo king, had to burn his teleport to get back to lane before he lost too much of an advantage. Does have a 10 CS over Dr. Mundo, but that teleport heavily in favor of Nightblu's squad as Mundo still has that one in his arsenal, whereas on the side of QtiePie's team, they're not going to be with that one for a while. And this is actually pretty crucial too, because with Pantheon picked up on the side of Nightblu in the jungle, that guy can solo drag it all by himself, so having that teleport available to protect that Pantheon means that Nightblu's team, within the next couple of minutes, could potentially secure that objective.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to this. Nightblu coming in hard here. Gonna get the... just doing so much damage to QtiePie.
I guess that's their objective instead. One spear comes through at Nightblu with a return gank on bottom lane. Picks up a kill on a summoner spell less QtiePie. Blem was actually back at the same time, going back to buy his own Sightstone. So that means that after that kill, well, there's that dragon we talked about.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they have to be really careful about, because, I mean, when Jaina's on top of it, they can trade aggro, and that dragon will actually never get any attacks off. On top of that, if he does, Nightblu's going to be able to block him with that passive pretty easily. Blem is, however, scouting this dragon out, could look to contest. Might not be the best decision from him, but most of the people in this team fight are pretty close to so they might not have quite the amount of damage needed to kill him.
Blem is going to get his Sonic Wave blocked up there by Fabi. The Resonating Strike goes in. He's not able to take that Dragon away because he does not have a Smite. Ooh, the Jana Tornado knocked him up out of the W there, so he's actually had to burn his flash over the wall. But the order is given, and Azir pushes Fabi against the wall. A kill has been picked up right there. The teleport was going to come in from Grigney, but he decides to cancel it as there's nothing more they can gain from that fight. They want to get the Dragon on Nightblu's side, but they lose Fabi for their problems.
Yeah, and you do see Warwick following up by taking the blue buff, and this will recoup a little bit of the gold they lost from those early kills, but at the same time, I mean, that dragon buff doesn't show up on that gold indicator, and that 8% AD and AP is huge. Like we said in the earlier games the night prior, that scales with you throughout the game, and when you have so many AD and AP champions on your team, it's going to be really, really strong.
Dang, man. Grigney was taking a lot of damage in that trade with the Solo King in top lane here. Had to pop his ultimate. He is going to be able to regen himself back up, but the sustain from that sap magic coming out of Maokai actually paying off in dividends right here. The CS is all but evened up in that top lane, but the health bar is decisively in favor of Maokai.
Yeah, and this is something that we've seen Zen the Solo King do. He's shown that he's a very competent solo laner. He's obviously very comfortable trading on, you know, most meta champions, and I think this is a matchup he knows pretty well, given how confidently he's going in on these trades.
Well, let's see how that top lane matchup does pan out. Those teleports are both down, and it looks like that the Solo King is going to have his up basically a full minute, if not more, before we're going to have it coming up from Grigney in the top lane there on Dr. Mundo. Bottom lane has settled down ever so slightly. PewDiePie has been the focus of many repeat appearances by Nightblu and his team, but he is currently still rocking 48 compared to the 40 CS of Fabi. He is down a BF sword compared to just components of that Phage, though, in bottom lane.
Yeah, and this is going to be really tough for PewDiePie. We did see him have a tough game last night, too, for the one game he got to play before he had connection issues. But with any luck, if he can keep this farm differential up and if he can keep it growing, it's going to end up snowballing into a pretty sizable advantage for him. And once he gets Triforce, this is going to be a lot easier lane for him.
Well, level 6 means that Corki has the rockets, and actually a slight experience advantage in the favor of PewDiePie's bottom lane here. As Fabi and Biofrost both only level 5. Blem and PewDiePie, however, have both hit level 6. So they have those ultimates available, a little bit extra damage, and of course, that key component to a Lee Sin kit, that Dragon's Rage. His flash is not available. Had to use that one to get out of the Dragon Pit when he attempted to go in for a no smite steal because he's support and not jungle, but he is still going to go in, puts out the Sonic Wave, does not connect with the Resonating Strike, but in the top lane here, looks like Nightblu is going to connect with potentially another successful gang, gets the stun down to Zen the Solo King. Dr. Mundo ends up popping his ultimate, but at the same exact time, a kick does land from Lee Sin in the bottom lane, so they trade 1-for-1 across the map, and actually, Zen the Solo King's able to pick up a kill on Pantheon in top lane, so that's 2-for-1 here, as Nightblu just stuck around a little too long.
And there's just constant action going on as we see Warwick going on Biofrost in the bot lane, but we saw in that top lane was that Maokai sap just sitting in the bush. Nightblu was just a little bit cocky checking that bush that he hadn't seen. It's kind of like walking into a Shaco box, except this one killed him.
That's actually kind of funny, the fact that he walked into a brush after he got the kill to recall just to be safe, and it was not a safe brush. But Biofrost trying to stay safe underneath his own tower in this bottom lane. Harry Abs does show up. Infinite Duress not available. Use that one in the attempted kill bottom lane just prior to this. So Biofrost actually chasing down the Harry Abs. Blem and imaqtpie right there. Low HP bars, though. They do not want to go into that one. Fabi has shown back up, so Biofrost going to walk away.
Yeah, and despite our early skepticism about Blem blowing his flash and not quite utilizing his Sonic Wave right on that first trade, you know, missing that first skill shot, he is now 2-0-1 and he's building pure damage. This is something that Fabi has to be really, really careful about because Lee Sin is going to be able to duel him with this build. And that Sightstone already, unlike most supports, Lee Sin gets to use that as a free, basically flash anytime his W cooldown is up.
Well, with PewDiePie in his bot lane away, it looks like that Fabi and Biofrost will take the fruit of their labors and that tower in the bottom lane. Harry Abs and Golden Glue chasing after Senor Scuttle Crab in the river right here are going to wind up trying to knock that one down. Fabi winds up coming in, does wind up getting his double shot proc, is going to steal that one away. Harry Abs out eating the brunt of a culling, has to flash away, but the flash and the dash, Fabi picks himself up a kill. Moonway in the mid lane in the meanwhile is going to get twisted, advancing down by Zen the Solo King. Arcade Smash coming up with a flash stun from Nightblu onto Golden Glue, takes down the Emperor in the mid lane here. Azir falls, Zen the Solo King pops the vengeful Maelstrom, trying to sustain with his stat magic, he goes down, but in come Blem and PewDiePie. Low health bars on the side of Nightblu's team. The exhaust goes down. PewDiePie cannot quite get the damage down. Monsoon separates the team. PewDiePie has to try to flash away from Grigney, who flashes on top of him, but Mundo picks up a kill. Blem is still chasing after Fabi, but he gets shut down. All in all, that is a 5-for-1 in favor of Nightblu's team. That's 9 kills to 5 now, and they're putting massive damage down. They don't even get this mid lane tower.
excellent play coming out from Nightblu's team. We saw that catch on the Warwick. They knew that ultimate was down or just about to come up, but either way, they weren't scared. They knew they had the advantage there and went in hard. Once they picked off that Warwick, it was just a matter of time. Once that team fight started, Mundo TPing in, having such a huge impact, despite the fact that Zen the Solo King did so much in that team fight. No one was there to respond right away, and when QtPie finally got there, he was baited in before being exhausted and not quite able to finish off Fabby. Everyone leaving that team fight at pretty low health, but just really good team fighting coming out from them. No one too scared to leave, and no one dying.
Yeah, from the side of Nightblue. Well, Nightblue's team, they had one person die, but that was early on in the engagement. That was Moonway. Sorry, not Moonway. That was, I believe it was Nightblue himself who actually fell down in that engagement. Harry Abs actually goes with an infinite duress on the Nightblue, but not a lot of damage coming out whatsoever. Solo King actually coming around from the backside. Vengeful Maelstrom is pop, but he's super low. Nightblue with that one spear throwing in the critical strike due to the fact that Maokai was so low, picks himself up a nice kill in mid lane.
This is just starting to look more and more like a Nightblu kind of dominating game, and Blem, despite the fact that he's 3-1 now, might not be able to, you know, provide for his team as they move into late game, and doesn't really give them the utility from a support that they might need. Harry Ab's dangerously low here.
Oh, he gets executed by the baby Raptors. Revenge for killing their mama right there with his last dying breath. Harry Abs, he's not gonna live that one down for a while.
No, and at this point, you know, when you're dying to jungle creeps, how are you going to beat the players in this game?
Well, it's not going to be with Dragon Buffs right now. Blem going in, trying to get a kill on Biofrost, kicks him away, but Fabby's there to save the day. He picks himself up a kill. QtPie's Rocket not going to steal the Dragon. That's the second one now for Nightblu's team. That is the extra damage to minions and monsters. 2 buffs to none at 13.5 minutes into this game.
And this is rough. I mean, if we just look at Syndra's score alone, Moonway 1-0-6, looking so dominant on that Syndra pick, despite the fact that neither him nor Azir have had a huge opportunity to farm. They're both doing really solid. It'll be interesting to see what items they pick up next, but you know, if they get a death cap, they're going to be putting out so much damage, Syndra especially, and that's something they have to be really careful about, because despite the fact that Azir is really excellent against like Mundo and Pantheon, you know, stopping those engages, he's going to have a hard time against Syndra if she gets on top of him.
Yeah, the Syndra stun is going to be a massive, massive factor in these fights, especially if they're able to fight in an enclosed space like around that Dragon Pit and really get it down on multiple members of QtPie's team. Speaking of QtPie and his team, they're not looking too hot right now. QtPie himself, 0-3-4. No kills to his name, a lot of assists, and less items. Just went back, finished his own phage, picked up some boots, and he has a dagger in his inventory. We're on the flip side with Fabby, boots, and a completed Infinity Edge for the 4-2-3 Lucian. They're going to be packing a punch with those auto attacks.
Yeah, and this is a huge power spike for him, and once he builds any other item to pair with it, whether it's a Static Shiv or a Youmuu's Ghostblade, he's going to be a monster in teamfights and an even bigger monster in duels, so QtPie really has to watch his step here and be careful not to get caught out, or in a 1v1 situation.
Well, Golden Glue going against the enemy Raptors right now. Looks like Nightblue is going to wind up charging up an ultimate. The Mandrock going to go behind Golden Glue, but Blem is waiting in the wings. Golden Glue actually winds up going back in on the Moonway, pushing them backwards with the ultimate right there. But Moonway is going to be able to pick up a kill on Blem, who tried to join the party and get some damage down. Now Golden Glue caught on the wrong side of the map. The 5 members there behind him are all from the enemy team. He's trying to fight his way through onto Moonway, but he's going to wind up going down. Nightblue picks himself up that kill as well, and that's 2-0 in favor of the red team.
And you gotta feel bad for Blem there. Flash Lee Sin kicking, desperate to get that Moonway kill, and it just didn't come through for him. Getting rougher and rougher. You know, we saw him at 3-1, and now he's 3-3. Lee Sin support, despite its early advantages, well, mid-game advantages, as its early game was a little weak too, it looks like it's not paying off quite like they needed it to.
No, it was a little bit downhill from the get-go as he had to burn that flash over the wall at level 1 just to survive the invade coming out from Nightblu's team. While I was able to kind of mop up a little bit from that one and pick up some kills, now that they're kind of moving around the map and getting to the point where towers become a big focus as well as controlling enemy buffs and going for objectives, it's not necessarily the same kind of impact because he didn't necessarily get that huge advantage. His AD carry, unfortunately, is also a casualty of that one as he just completed his Trinity Force about 10 seconds ago, a little less than that, 5 seconds ago, whereas Fabby has had that Infinity Edge for a while. If you take a look at some of the gold in his inventory too, Fabby already 1.2k still saved up, and wow, Blem just gets obliterated by Moonway right there. I didn't think it was going to be able to kill him, but it did.
Yeah, and this is the hard thing about that Lee Sin support pick, is you have no defensive stats at all. And you know, in a regular Lee Sin, you do build a little bit of AD before going tanky, but on Blem, he has no gold income outside of those kills, so he's pretty much limited to that Sightstone and whatever few AD items he can scrap together there.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. Did not wind up going for a relic shield, did not pick up an ancient coin, no support item whatsoever. So the fact is the matter is he's not generating gold from CS. He was only doing it from the lane phase and the kills. And like we said, just did not get enough to be sustainable for the Lee Sin support plan thus far into the game. However, it's still only 16 and a half, 17 minutes into this game. 14 kills already racked up for Nightblu side and only 5 for the team of PewDiePie. 28.7k gold compared to 22.7k gold. So a solid 6k gold advantage is now the Solo King getting jumped on by a roaming Lucian here, but up comes Blem. Heal's actually been burned by Fabi. A lot of damage coming down to Grigney, but the culling is popped as well. The Solo King has to burn his Vengeful Maelstrom. Blem actually trying to get away with the Safeguard Iron Will, but Fabi's able to pick up a kill as the Dragon Rage comes out. Not enough to pick up a kill on Grigney or Fabi, and this tower in top lane looks like it's going to go down.
Yeah, an excellent positioning from both Grigney and Fabi there, denying Lee Sin the Sonic Wave onto Fabi, instead hitting Grigney there. Not the target you want to be hitting in that sort of team fight, especially when Mundo's not really the huge source of damage. Nightblu getting aggressive here, diving in on Zen, the Solo King.
Just another easily mopped up kill here. At the same time, Harry's trying to go on Infinite Duress on the Moonway. Moonway's super low, but he's yet to die this game. It doesn't look like it's going to be the first time right here. Flash over the wall from Janna. The Syndra Stun hit both Warwick and PewDiePie on Corki, so he's not going to be able to get away from this one. Moonway taking up some tower shots. Is he going to try to get the execute? The shutdown spree goes over to Warwick, though. At the same time, Fabi being jumped up by Golden Glue. That's another shutdown spree. Can Golden Glue turn two? No. Biofrost puts a shield on. He's able to pick up a kill, but imaqtpie picks up a kill on the enemy captain of Nightblu. That one actually turns slightly in favor of PewDiePie's team as a tower dive, which is a little bit too deep for Nightblu.
Yeah, and it looked like what was about to be a 7k gold lead, turning back into a 6k gold lead. Well, almost 7 again now. But we can really hope that PewDiePie is going to take this opportunity to apply pressure to the map. You can see them pushing for this mid lane turret, and we just have to hope that this gold lead is going to be enough for them to get back into the game.
Well, the mid lane tower is going to be taking a little bit of damage, actually enough to go down here as Harryab secures that one for PewDiePie's team. Only the second tower of the game for them compared to the 3 that Nightblu's team has acquired. 40 seconds left on the clock until that dragon's going to respawn as well, and this one could be crucial. PewDiePie's team with yet a dragon buff on their side means they do not have the increased damage to minions. They do not have the increased AP and AD. And Nightblu's team with the 2 of them so far, this next dragon is going to be that movement speed, and that's going to be a tough one to catch up to.
Yeah, and we've talked about before how that first dragon buff and that third dragon buff are especially crucial. You know, obviously, second dragon buff, important but not as good, but third dragon buff, that movement speed buff, is huge. And not only that, they have a Janna on their team to complement it. So, you know, if they want to chase someone or if they want to catch someone, nobody's getting away.
Well, Biofrost at Janna waiting in the brush over here. Bates Harryaz has to flash away here. Extremely low. Nightblu comes in with the Grand Skyfall. Cleavers land on the Golden Glue. The Emperor's Divide's going to completely zone away the enemy team, though, from the chase. But they're not really set on the chase. They're set on that dragon, as they're going to wind up moving. Actually, Moonway goes back to mid lane to push that one out. Draws Azir's attention, while the rest of the team goes back to this dragon pit.
And you see the rest of the team starting to play forward, looking at this dragon pit. They know it's being taken, but, you know, short of like a cheeky sapperling still, there's nothing really that's going to happen there for them to contest dragon. They just don't have the resources right now to fight their team. And now it's going to get that much harder with that 5% movement speed bonus.
Yeah, Warwick is actually chunked out of that fight. It was the focus from Nightblu sides. Without that spite available, it was a pretty safe dragon to take. Now, Azir does have a pseudo tower put up in this mid lane to try to halt any advances that were going to be going on after that dragon buff has been taken. But still, the fact of the matter is, Nightblu's team are in a very commanding position this game. Once again, they seem a lot more coordinated than they were yesterday in their first game. I mean, rumor has it that they were communicating via smart pings and just typing in chat rather than using like Curse Voice or using Skype or something like that. But it seems like they've fixed their communication issues and they're just all over this map today.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight the play from Biofrost has been so good this game. I mean, in that earlier fight where Fabi dropped down to about 5%, PewDiePie went right in, and Biofrost has been sandbagging the exhaust that entire time and used it as kind of a mind game. Like, convinced PewDiePie he could get the kill. PewDiePie came in, that instant exhaust, pretty much guaranteeing PewDiePie would die and that Fabi would live.
Well, PewDiePie got taken down extremely low, trying to get an ambush down onto Fabi, who actually had Biofrost by his side. Golden Glue was roaming down towards that bottom lane, but Fabi and his support, Janna, wound up getting out of there before the Emperor can even make a decree in that bottom lane. Nightblu and his team, in the meantime, are using this opportunity to create a lot of vision control towards the top lane. Wards going down by the Baron Pit. Actually, only one actually wound up going down, but they do get control of that Scuttle Crab for the next 60 or so seconds, which means that they do have vision over the enemy blue buff jungle available, which is where they find Harry Harry Ouch, trying to walk in there. Infinite Duress goes down as he dies, and Grigney picks up a kill there. That's a 5-0 and 6 tanky Dr. Mundo.
Yeah, and despite the fact that, Infinite Duress does have the potential to do a ton of damage when you combine it with that smite, it doesn't look like it's going to play out for him.
Well, Golden Glue took a ton of damage to the face as he winds up going down. QtPie out with the Monsoon, stuck on the wrong side of the enemy team. It's a double kill picked up from Moonway as he's the one that sniped up the kill on Azir to begin with. QtPie's team, they're just falling apart left and right in this one. 3 of them dead right now. There's 5 left on the side for Nightblu's team. They don't even want to go for Baron with the established vision for. Why do that when you can just get the enemy tower that's left open for you?
Yeah, and with an 8k gold lead, QtPie's team's going to be hard-pressed to stop them. And all that gold lead, from that tower control and from those 12 kills they have up, such commanding play from Nightblu's team. And those consistent picks onto Harry Abs is pretty much denying QtPie's team any reliable way to engage. And with Maokai really lacking tank items, they don't have a front line at this point.
No, they really don't. Like, Maokai, he had got his Rite of Ages, but he has gone for an Aegis of the Legion and has a Kindle Gem in his inventory. So he has a little bit of magic resistance, and that's about it. And when you look at this, Nightblu's already acquired a Last Whisper. Syndra has acquired a Magi's Soul Stealer, which I believe has 9 stacks on it at this point in time. 335 ability power. You look across the enemy mid laner, only 205 on Golden Glue's Azir, and he's 2-4-1 for his team. So a lot of damage potential coming up from the side of Nightblu's team, and they have that 5-0-6 frontline Mundo that QtPie's team does not just have right now. They also don't have a mid laner anymore. There's that 335 ability power coming out from Moonway, blowing up Azir, picking up 2 more stacks, make it 11 on that Magi's.
Yeah, and that's 1 rotation with the ult, and that Magi's is going to keep getting stronger and stronger. And keep in mind that not only is that Magi's going to give him more AP, but the Dragon buff is boosting that AP from Magi's as well. So the advantage is huge at this point.
Oh, Grigney gonna get jumped on by Solo King or Twisted Advance, getting a bit of damage. And meanwhile, Moonlight caught out in the jungle here by an Infinite Duress. QtPie gets a shutdown on that. Much needed gold for the early carry of the team. So Solo King, though, and Blem trying to do what they can against Fabi and Grigney now. Blem kicked Fabi away, but the kill goes to Grigney. 6-0 and 6 now for that Dr. Mundo. Meantime, QtPie picked up a double kill. Harryad's being chased down by Nightblu. There's a double kill going down in top lane. Now the 2 team captains being a little bit of a ring around the rosy. QtPie, the flash roll from Nightblu. He is gonna go down to the red buff, however. The rocket hit Fabi. That pushed him away. It looks like the side, it's 2 versus 2 right now, but the health bar is definitely in favor of QtPie's team. It was even all across the board, but I don't exactly know who came out on top because there's a lot of deaths there.
Yeah, so much action in there, and that's the strength of that Warwick pick that we saw with that pick coming in on Moonway. Despite the fact that they have been successfully picking it off in the past, they didn't do it this time, and we saw that Infinite Duress coming out clutch for their team, allowing QtPie to get his full damage rotation off, unopposed, on a non-moving opponent. Just so easy for them to pick up that kill there.
Well, one big casualty of that one, of course, is Syndra's potential damage output, at least for the time being. She had 11 stacks on that Magi's Soul Stealer. You die now, you lose half those stacks because you start with 5. So she's down to 6, which is basically the starting amount that she had. So that Magi's Soul Stealer, the power just got cut in half from that one. So it went from 3, well, now she's at 337 because she also went back and bought a needlessly large rod and blasting one, but the damage potential on Syndra not necessarily as high as it was just in the previous fight. So of course, that's just the price you pay for getting those snowball items.
It's very true, and one thing I do want to point out here is how Golden Glue's Azir has been forced into that Void Staff buy early just because of how much magic resist and how tanky this Mundo pick is. And on top of that, we have the Pantheon, the one that's making plays and jumping on top of him with that Hex Drinker. So he can't really afford not to be able to kill those champions, but at the same time, he's functionally, lowered his damage against every other champion on the opposing team.
Well, Death Cap was completed for Syndra, so now there's a lot more damage coming out from her. Everybody on Nightblu's team has gotten some pretty core items. Like you said, there's a Death Cap for this on the side of Syndra, Spirit Visage, as well as the Warmog's armor, which means Mundo is not only going to be having a lot of magic resistance, but increasing his effective HP with every amount of that magic resistance, just based off the fact he's getting 800 bonus health from that Warmog. So he's going to be sitting there content to him and Nightblu to tank up that dragon. It's going to be the 4th one too, see, but that's a huge buff here. The Tower Destruction is now on Nightblu's side, and that means that one more and they're going to get that bonus buff, the Super Dragon buff, where they're going to be able to keep a bonus statistics and burning true damage for 3 minutes. But at the same exact time, PewDiePie's team are responding with what can only be labeled as a very desperate Baron here, as Janna gets a ward over the wall. Fabi comes in, just chunks down Blem. The culling comes out, but Warwick is able to secure the kill on Baron right here. Nightblu's team just completely out of position going for that dragon. The Baron buff goes to PewDiePie's team, but it's 4-stack dragon versus Baron buff. Don't know who comes out on top of that one.
Well, at this point, I think for sure Baron buff, and, you know, we still have a long time, about 6 minutes until that dragon's going to be up again, and at this point, the Baron buff is going to be so much more powerful for them. The one advantage that Nightblu's team does have in this situation is they do have that improved minion wave clear, so even though the minions are empowered and more difficult to kill, a little bit of that is mitigated because of their second dragon buff.
Well, PewDiePie's team, a little bit of breathing room. That Baron buff gives them a little bit of pushing power, so if Nightblu's team is going to try to get that siege going, trying to knock down one of those inner or inhibitor towers that they have to try to push onto now, those minions are going to be a lot stronger on the side of PewDiePie's team, so despite the bonus damage that they're going to be dealing to minions as well as towers with those 4 dragon buffs, the buff from the Baron is going to help push out with those minions as well, and as we could see, because of that, PewDiePie's team getting a little bit more confident to move out on the map. Azir makes a tower at the enemy's outer mid lane area. Wards are going down from in the jungle from Warwick and Lee Sin as they're continuing to try to make their presence known across the map. But Moonway getting a catch on the Golden Glue. Ooh, the safeguard coming out from Lee Sin, but the Ignite's going to tick away. Golden Glue goes down, so that's 1 of 4 Baron buffs gone.
And this Syndra pick is so strong at this point. 7, 2, and 7, stacking up that Medjai's. That was a kill through safeguard and the heal. Yeah, PewDiePie's heal was burned there, and just, I mean, still getting that kill, that is brutal. They need Golden Glue in those team fights to keep that Mundo pick away, and now we see Nightblu coming in hard on that Pantheon ult.
Oh, the man drop goes off. Is he going to try to flash after PewDiePie? Answer is no, because this flash is not available, so he can't do that. Silly commentators, what do they know? Blem taking a lot of damage, too, as he gets chunked out by Fabi, having another good game for himself. 5, 3, and 8 on this Lucian pickup, playing the opposite side of that Lucian Corki bot lane combo. Definitely working out in his favor. 7, 2, and 7, by the way, on that Syndra you mentioned before from Moonway. Swat down to mid lane from top lane, and the substitute they brought in, Grigney, to replace Braille. 7, 0, and 6, rocking that huge tanky Dr. Moon that top lane.
Yeah, both of these solo lane players playing so well. Moonway swapping roles and still playing fantastically, clearly very comfortable on Syndra. And Golden Glue looking a little shaky on his ear. We do see the catch coming out.
Moonway, though, he gets Flash Infinite to rest on, and PewDiePie actually on a rampage has a killing spree for his team. That means that he went from being 1-4-4 to the current position of 5-4-4 that he is in right now. So Corki trying to do what he can to carry his team back into this one. He went for the very expensive Trinity Force Infinity Edge build, 2 of the most expensive AD carry items in the game, but that power's really starting to kick in right here. Of course, on the opposite side, Draven still has an IE Static Shiv, BF sword, but did have to actually stop and pick up that Quicksilver Sash just because of the Warwick and the Maokai in the opposing team.
Yeah, but the tough part about building that Quicksilver Sash on Lucian is that, you know, it doesn't actually stop Warwick's damage. So with that strong Devourer build, and if he gets that smite off, there's still the potential that Lucian could die to the Warwick, even if he does manage to stop the CC from Infinite Duress.
Well, one thing Harry Abs actually has gone for, he needs to get tank stats. So he went for a Null Magic Mantle and a Randuin's Omen. Doesn't have a lot of damage like the Bork was going to add or a Wit's End. So he's just rocking the Devourer on hit effects on top of all the Warwick ultimate. So he's not blowing people up, but he's definitely still dealing a decent amount of damage. So by using the Quicksilver Sash, Fabi is going to be able to get out of there, and because there's no Blade of the Rune King or Wit's End on Warwick yet, he's not going to get absolutely chunked out, so he is going to be able to survive in those situations. But PewDiePie's team, with the movements on the map, utilizing this Baron buff quite effectively. Doesn't matter how slippery Lucian's going to be, they rotate up and took that second tier inner tower in the top lane, so they actually wound up pushing all the way down mid lane, pushing all the way top lane, and now they're only down 4 towers compared to the 6 from Nightblu's squad.
Yeah, and despite, you know, the difficulty that the solo lanes are having, 1 and 6, 2 and 6, I mean, they're still rotating really well as a team with that Baron buff. And now that the Baron is gone and teams are starting to look towards Dragon up in about 1 minute and 20 seconds here, we're really going to see if they've, you know, figured out exactly how they want to play these team fights and if they engage appropriately. It's going to be really hard for them if they find someone picked off again, and it'll pretty much spell death if they get that 5th Baron buff on the side of Nightblu's team, or 5th Dragon buff on the side of Nightblu's team.
Well, the culling and the heal actually blend on Fabi here. The man drop in the back, though, goes on the Blem, immediately kicks away Pantheon right there. Grigney in the middle of the fray. Moonway trying to get as much damage down as possible onto Zen, the Solo King. Maokai, though, getting super tanky. Nightblu gets locked up by the Infinite Duress, but not a lot of damage coming out from Harry House. Flashes are burned from Maokai here, but they're fighting underneath the Nazir Tower. Nightblu is able to pick up a kill onto Warwick, but the teams have swapped sides right now. Cutie Pie's team is fighting on Nightblu's side. Nightblu's side is running away from Cutie Pie's team as they're moving in towards this tower, but with no minions available. A flash cleaver from Grigney does land onto imaqtpie. Flash stun from Moonway picks up a kill on the Cutie. The shutdown spree goes down on the Syndra, and this is gonna be absolute carnage. A double kill picked up for Syndra. One for Fabi on the outside there. Another one for Dr. Mundo, and that's an ace for the red team.
And this is exactly what Cutie Pie's team did not want to do, splitting their attention like that, getting a little too aggressive and pushing the mid lane when the dragon wasn't even up. If the dragon had been up, they might have been able to get away with, pushing down a little bit, getting a little tower damage, knowing they couldn't contest the dragon. But dragon wasn't available, so the smart decision from Nightblu's team came out very fast. They rotated in that mid lane, took out as many members as they could, blew everything to get those kills, but now they're going to get an inhibitor turret for it. And I have to say it was definitely worth it.
Inhibitor and the inhibitor tower go down. Nightblu's team regaining some control of this game. They lost the Baron buff in trade for that 4th dragon that they took earlier. Cutie Pie's team was able to gain some ground just by the fact that the minions were helping them out-push and out-maneuver Nightblu's side, but that fight for Cutie Pie's team did not go their way. They get aced, and actually they're going to wind up giving up potentially here the 5th dragon, which is going to add that burning true damage, 150 over 3 seconds, and of course amplifying all the previous buffs. Nightblu, though, he's going to get blown up. Harryabs is still alive. Can they get the smite down on the dragon? Harryabs goes down. The dragon goes over to the side of Fabi. He picks up the kill, but he gets blown up because of it. Grigney, though, is super tanky. 9-0 and 9, chunking through a bunch of damage, surviving for as long as possible. Golden Glue, with a long-range snipe on the soldiers, picks up a kill on Biofrost, and actually it's going to be Nightblu's team losing all but Grigney in that trade, just for the exchange of Harryaz. Grigney now, he's super tanky, but he's taking damage from Blem and Cutie Pie, the dynamic bottom lane duo. Can they take down the raid boss, Dr. Mundo, for his first death? That's a huge 500 gold bounty that both of these players want. The cleavers keep coming out. Cutie Pie and Blem taking trading tanking hits back and forth. Blem connects to the Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike. Grigney goes in. He's getting a lot of damage. He picks up another kill on Blem, but feeds the 500 gold shutdown spree over to imaqtpie.
And it's really tough for Nightblu's team that the only utilization of that buff was from Grigney there in that last little exchange. And they did 1-for-1 exchange, but you can see that that buff is still ticking, and the fact that they died did not actually take it away. So this buff really, really clearly very strong here. And, Cutie Pie's team going to be pretty disappointed that, unlike Baron buff, killing them does not take it away. And the next couple minutes are going to be so hard for them because they're really prone to lose any fight now that the full attention of Nightblu's team can be on winning the team fight instead of taking the dragon.
Well, they're going to steal away a blue buff, or are they? Actually wants it going over to Nightblu, but Nightblu gets caught up with the infinite duress. Once again, he gets blown up in this fight. Syndra's going to be able to actually blow up the Solo King, so no tank left on the side of Cutie Pie's team. Teleport coming in from Mundo behind imaqtpie as well, trying to force him away from the rest of this fight, but in comes Mundo, trying to chase after Golden Goo. Who are they going to wind up going after now? Tower actually winds up going down in favor of Cutie Pie's team on the bottom side of the map as he's desperately trying to get away. The rest of Nightblu's team, they want to try to collapse around him. They want to try to pick up a kill on imaqtpie. He's 7, 5, and 6. They know that he's a lot of the damage coming out from his team. Cutie Pie, though, tries to recall, gets hit up by a culling, so he's getting revealed. Tons of damage coming out there from Fabi. Cutie Pie's going to Valkyrie into a Syndra stun, and, well, he did all he could. There's no way he was getting away from everybody on Nightblu's team.
Yeah, and every time Cutie Pie tries to get away, it seems like Moonway's there ready to punish him no matter which way he goes. Last time it was a flash E. This time it's, well, just a regular, flash needed this time just because Cutie Pie was kind of caught out there. And this game is getting harder and harder for Cutie Pie's team to win. We do see about 9k gold lead coming out, and this is huge. I mean, Syndra did sell her Medjai's, though, but instead now has a Void Staff, so lots of damage.
Well, Blem actually is the one that's feeling the pain right there. There we go. Syndra picks up another kill right there. Goes on a killing spree for herself. Now 12, 4, and 10. Huge score coming out from Moonway in this game. He played Maokai top lane last game. They brought in Grigney instead for the top lane, and Moonway showing why he's a mid lane player. At least that's what his match history is telling us. Harryaz and Solo King, though, they got to try to stop this Baron. Nightblu is down at about half HP, and the last 2 times this happened, Harryaz has been able to pick up a kill. The exhaust goes out on him. He flashes in. He wants to try to get a kill on Nightblu. Infinite Duress comes out. It's repeat history here. Both junglers have gone down. The Baron's trying to add as much damage as possible. He's at 660. Fabi's going to finish that one off, but at the same time, Solo King and Golden Glue tried to deal as much damage as possible. Solo King still alive. In comes Cutie Pie. Biofrost is low. Fabi at half HP, but Mundo at full HP right here. Cutie Pie and Blem, the only ones left, but Blem is still respawned back in the base, trying to catch up the Cutie Pie at this point in time. I don't think it's going to be there in enough time. Fabi coming around the outside as well. The culling comes down, Cutie Pie goes down, and that's going to be 4 kills to the price of 2 and a Baron buff in favor of Nightblu's team.
Yeah, and you see Fabi quick to push down this mid lane, providing pressure. They know that Warwick still has 6 seconds left, and it looks like they might try to get a turret here, despite the fact that, you know, Warwick could provide a threat. They do know that his ult is not available.
Well, when you're Dr. Mundo and you're this beefy and you can just tank through 2 Nexus laser towers like that, I don't think you're going to care about a Warwick who is only 4, 7, and 8, doesn't necessarily have the most damage in the world. Not even a Blade of the Rune King on that Warwick. So he has no real damage threat posed to Dr. Mundo. He had to build tanky. He had to be tanky enough just to get into these fights and not immediately die and at least try to lock someone down with his Infinite Duress. So Spirit Visage, Randuin's Omen, and now has only picked up his Vampiric Scepter. Dr. Mundo, he's just like, I gotta improve recall at Baron buff. I can just kind of wander around for a little bit, go back and buy Warmogs, Banshee's Veil, Spirit Visage. He has his Randuin's Omen, and now an Elixir of Ruin because there's only 1 Nexus Tower left for Cutie Pie.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough for Cutie Pie because on the opposite side we see Lucian, who has a whole item on top of him, that Last Whisper, and, you know, the QSS finish, whereas Cutie Pie only has the Null Magic Mantle. And Pantheon might be coming in here, though.
Man drop goes down. Harry Avs is the target here. Randuin's Omen go off. A stun from Nightblu, a stun from Syndra, the blow up from Syndra, and Nightblu with the critical strike is able to seal the deal right there. Harry Avs, that's his 8th death of the game. It's a 4v5 situation. There's Baron Dutt minions. There's an open inhibitor that's going to be falling down, and only 1 Nexus Tower here for Cutie Pie's team to desperately defend. Fabi goes in. Fabi takes some damage, but the Bloodthirster shield is going to protect him from most of that burst from Azir coming out from Golden Glue. Solo King in the front line. Vengeful Maelstrom is popping. He's dropping down super low. That's kind of funny. Golden Glue puts up a 2nd Nexus Tower as the Azir Tower goes up, and it looks like Nightblu's team is just going to back up, wait for some more minions to push in. They have all the time in the world to try to end this one.
Yeah, and this is really tough. You can see that, you know, that cannon minion just doing work. It has such a huge range advantage when it's empowered by that Baron buff that you have to kill it. But it's so hard to get close enough to do that when you've got 5 members staring you down, ready to jump on you the second you misstep.
Biofrost has a banner of command for those cannon minions as well. So that's a lot of damage coming out from that super long-range cannon minion. Speaking of damage, the culling goes down to imaqtpie. Nightblu actually taken pretty low in that fight here as the Solo King flashing forward. Vengeful Maelstrom's active. QSS goes down from Fabi as he got Twisted Advanced on here. Harry Adds is in the middle of the fray. Solo King's finally going to go down. Blem is in there as well to pick up a kill on Fabi. Nightblu's going to be the next target, but down goes Harry Adds. Mundo on the backside forces Cutie Pie to flash away, throws some cleavers over the wall. There's 2 damage sources down, but Moonway comes in, starts cleaning up the fight. The Zanya's Hourglass for a little bit of added swag. And ace down for the red team. The GGs are coming out right here. It is a 5-for-2 trade, and it looks like Nightblu's team gonna bounce back and take 2 wins tonight, back to back.
And Moonway and Grignay coming in so strong in these games that Mundo just completely unkillable. And of course Moonway consistently, that Dark Sphere into the Scatter a week, that long range stun, giving so much utility to the team, and just making all of those picks so easy to pull off, and all of those team fights so easy for them to win.
Man, this is quite the turnaround for Nightblu's team. They looked absolutely in control of both games. This is against Trick2G's team in the first match. Spoiler alert, guys, if you didn't tune in for that one, it's your own fault. But Nightblu's team took down Trick2G's team at the beginning of this evening. Now they looked in control of Cutie Pie's team, who their only loss was to Voyboy's team, and that's going to be a huge test for Trick2G to go up against next here. So right now, we have Voyboy sitting at 2-0. Nightblu, he's finished for this week at 2-1, an impressive bounce back from an 0-1 start yesterday. Cutie Pie and his team, they fall to 1-2 right now. And Trick2G, his team is 0-2, and he definitely has his work cut out for him in the next match.
Yeah, and you know, are we going to see Voyboy, the current leader, dethroned as he goes to 2-1 to tie with Nightblu for the week? Or will we see Voyboy with a clean 3-0 for the week, coming out as like the dominant captain and with a very dominant lineup? I mean, we know he has a strong roster. He has an excellent support. We saw great plays for them. But, you know, are they going to be able to handle, you know, Trick2G and his split push strategies? Are they going to be able to communicate that and shut it down the same way that, you know, Nightblu's team did?
We're going to have to find out, guys. Nightblu's team is done for the week, as is imaqtpie's, but we still have one more match on Summoner's Rift to bring you. Trick2G and his army, they're in the hunt for the first win of the week, and Voyboy's squad, or the Voy Scouts, I guess is what he's calling them nowadays, they're in the hunt for the perfect 3-0 of the first week of the OMEN Encounter. If you're confused about the records or why these games are being played, now is the perfect time to, well, not only tune out during the commercial break we're about to have, but head on over to omen.g